Rachel, what was your name?
Hopefully that'll stay.
Malone, M-A-L-O-N-E.
And yours, sir?
Rizzo, R-I-Z-O.
And you said you're legislative liaison?
Yes.
And yourself, sir?
I'm one of the board members for Texas Open Care.
Well, thank you all for being here.
Thank you for having us.
I think we have plenty of folks in this room to lay out facts and reasons for policies, decisions, and with that, I guess, Commander, if I can allow you to kind of lay out the DPS policy, and I want to make it clear, this is a DPS policy. It's, if I'm correct, it's not a rule.
That's right.
But it's based on a statutory provision that y'all will explain in a minute. And, you know, where the Preservation Board comes in, DPS provides security here at the Capitol. And we look to them to oversee all aspects of security at the building. And, you know, that's the partnership that we've had for decades. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the Commander.
Thank you, John. Since we are recording this purposes, my name is Major of Ortiz. I'm the Regional Commander with the Texas Department of Public Safety here at the State Capitol. And I know we were contacted by Mr. Terry Holcomb, who is also with the organization, correct?
He's one of our board members, yes.
Okay, then I spoke with you also on Friday. And the question was posed to us is, would we authorize individuals to come into the Capitol carrying rifles, weapons, in this particular case, rifles, into the Capitol? I advised you that we would not, based upon the statute that we would believe would apply in the disorderly conduct in the Texas Penal Code, which we believe is disorderly conduct, based upon situations and what our responsibilities are for security and safety, security of the Capitol and safety of all those that are visiting the Capitol. So I don't know if there's additional information you're asking specifically, so I'll push it back to you or ask you what questions you may have about our enforcing of our policy regarding that.
Anything you want to?
Yes, based on our review of a lot of case law in the state of Texas, other case law, our reading of Texas statutes, it appears that the disorderly conduct charge cannot be given based simply on carrying a rifle. There has to be some kind of manner in which it's being carried with the intent to cause alarm. And so that was our issue that we wanted to bring up.
Well, I believe it is, you are correct, and I think we have been applying that reasonableness and calculated alarm, and I think you've seen that probably with the organization who has been on the grounds currently. Just because you have a rifle, we don't automatically go out and arrest. We make every effort and attempt to identify, talk to, try to find out intent of individuals carrying firearms. From law enforcement, as a current peace officer with Texas, I know it does cause many law enforcement concern when you see someone with a weapon who's not in a uniform or a scheduled commemorative event where just showing up. In today's world where there have been active shooters, we've trained our officers to deal with those situations. That does cause concern, especially when we start getting calls in to the Capitol where there's a lot of children, there's a lot of family. We've got people from all over, not just Texas and the U.S., but all over the world that come to the Capitol here, I think. And so we're trying to look out for the interest of everybody, make sure that everyone's safe, no one panics, no one gets nervous. And we try to touch base and make contact with anyone who displays a weapon. Into the Capitol, we consider that a secured area, and so that is where we are enforcing our disorderly conduct. I just want to make sure I'm articulating that correctly.
That's right, and I mean, we agree that simply carrying a rifle is not disorderly conduct. There's case law to that effect, and so officers have to look at the entire circumstances of the situation they're dealing with. I think the officer would probably be negligent if he didn't make some kind of contact with someone carrying a long gun in public. But the circumstances that we believe would likely make it disorderly conduct in trying to enter the Capitol building itself is that you're attempting to enter a secure, unique property where we think folks are especially subject to being alarmed by people carrying long arms into the area. And so that's why our officers have, on the Capitol grounds, made contact with people and talked to them about the situation and tried to look at the totality of the circumstances and haven't been making arrests. And we don't want to make arrests, and we don't want to even make arrests of people that are attempting to enter the building itself. But we think that those circumstances, I mean, our advice to our officers would be to take into account the whole context of what's going on, and folks attempting to enter that particular location with a long arm visible would likely be disorderly conduct.
And that, Commander Ortiz, you mentioned that the state capitol is a secured area, but yet the state capitol allows people to carry concealed. So there's already weapons in a quote-unquote secured area of a state building. So my question is, and you've also mentioned that at the beginning of your second discussion here was that people just showing up and having the rifles and not knowing their intent. However, in this circumstances or in this situation, we've communicated with more than enough time of what our intent is and why we plan on being there. And, you know, so I don't see where the disorderly conduct or really, I don't see where the articulable suspicion of calculating alarm would come in. Did I express that correctly to you?
Yes, and I think when you're discussing making contact, yes, we do make contact with all those on the ground, just as we would anybody attempting to come through the secure areas of the Capitol.
I don't expect anything different.
So, I mean, to your, not sure the question there, other than yes, we do make contact to determine intent. The secure area, the legislature, the Preservation Board did direct the Department of Public Safety to create the opportunity for CHL as well as a capital access pass through a vetted process which is already in place, access into the Capitol. That's why we have, and they're allowed to come in, but it's through a process that was mandated for access into the Capitol. That process, I do not feel would extend to the open carry. That is a concealed, where you can come through, we don't even know if you have a weapon. There's an assumption that you have if you use a concealed handgun, but we're not asking to see the weapon. We're not asking to check what type of weapon, but the law clearly states that that weapon must remain concealed. In itself, I think, allows the public not to be alarmed by that mere fact. The public isn't seeing every time someone goes through a concealed handgun, walking around and saying, there's a concealed handgun person. I think it's understood that when you come through, it remains concealed. So while you're in the Capitol, not to cause alarm.
Okay. I think we definitely have a common goal of safety and security for everybody, for y'all, for us, people of Texas. And you alluded earlier to the fact that it's not a normal sight just to see people openly carrying a gun these days in Texas. I agree, it's not. Part of our mission as a group is to establish that as more of a normal thing that does not cause alarm to the public, like it used to be, you know, in America and Texas, decades, centuries ago. It used to be a more normal thing. We want to establish that as a safe, normal thing, eventually in this state. That's part of our goal. we do a lot of work in the legislature. I worked heavily in the legislature this past session, pushing for legislation that's going to advance these goals for the state of Texas. But part of why we want to do this, some people are calling it a protest. You've seen, I'm sure, some groups come in as protests and demonstrations. I see our group wanting to do this not so much as a protest and we're going to be rabble-rousers and go make a big fuss at the Capitol, but more a gesture of gratitude for the liberty that we do have. We as a group would like to see open carry of handguns allowed in the state of Texas. We don't have that now. But we do, the state of Texas does allow open carry of rifles. So that's part of our intent in this activity would be to celebrate and to be grateful for that freedom we do have. And we see carrying inside the Capitol just as a sign of the fact that we do have freedoms in Texas. Our First Amendment rights are secured through that allowance. Does that make sense to y'all of our intent?
I understand what you're saying. I'm not gonna agree that it makes sense to come into the Capitol with a long gun, because I think it's still, the department believes that that would cause alarm, and it would be would be a security as well as safety risk.
So just to confirm your position, carrying a rifle in a non-threatening manner, safe manner, outside the Capitol grounds does not in and of itself constitute cause for alarm or cause for arrest or detainment. That's correct, right? Outside the Capitol. Simply that action by itself.
I would agree that the officer that makes contact with an individual must identify all the circumstances and the totality of those circumstances before anyone, not anyone here at this table can make and say that that is going to define disorderly or not disorderly. I think the law allows an officer to make that determination at that point in time. So I can't agree that just by what you're saying without having the totality of the circumstances that an officer is engaged when he approaches someone who is openly carrying a rifle.
Okay, all right, and I understand we can't get all the circumstances that might come up. But I think you were saying, sir, earlier, that just simply the fact that a person is carrying a long rifle does not in and of itself constitute a cause for arrest or for detainment. I think that's pretty clear through case law that we see. Isn't that what you stated earlier, sir?
I think it would be cause for the officer to make contact and gather further information. So if the only fact known was that that person is carrying a rifle, the officer would be obligated to gather some more information before taking further action.
So just that fact does not constitute grounds for arrest?
Probably not.
Okay. But inside the Capitol, it would, or that would not be allowed for the reason that the Capitol is a secured area. Am I getting that correctly from what y'all are saying? I just want to make sure I'm understanding exactly what you're saying, exactly the reason why it's not allowed inside the Capitol.
I don't think that's the only reason, but it's one good reason in looking at all of the circumstances of applying the disorderly conduct statute. But the fact that we have a whole CHL regime in place, and so folks' right to carry concealed is protected, and their Second Amendment rights are protected, and they can carry in the Capitol. It's just this particular manner of carrying, we think, carries a high risk of being alarming. The manner of carrying a rifle openly in this particular context, in this particular place.
Well, let me ask you this. An individual that goes into the Capitol obviously has to go by through security. It's not like years ago where there wasn't any metal detectors or CHL line. So he's already having to go through DPS in order to get into the Capitol, correct? So if I were to come into the Capitol open carrying a rifle, I still have to go through that process of going through security. Once I'm in, anybody who's inside knows that I went through security. So where's the alarm? I don't see where the alarm would come in since I've already traveled through security and been allowed through by DPS.
think the alarm at that point might be, what the heck are we doing at our security checkpoints if someone has been allowed through with a rifle?
No different than with a gun, though. I mean,
It's very different. That's why it's an offense to carry your concealed weapon in an unconcealed manner.
So if I take, I'm not arguing, please do not take it as me arguing. If I were to take my rifle and I were to cover it with a towel, and I were to come through the CHL line and keep it concealed under the towel, will I then be allowed to carry inside the Capitol?
You want to answer that? Absolutely not.
I mean, I would say no, but again, what you're talking about, you're trying to throw out scenarios, Nestor, about, you're talking about a concealed weapon again. To have a concealed weapon, there's a process, as the council pointed out, for getting into the Capitol. What you're talking about, so under that rationale, you're agreeing then that it's gonna cause alarm from what I'm hearing, because you wanna cover it so it won't cause alarm. The
No,
minute
no.
you expose it, does that mean you're violating?
No, I'm asking you.
Well, I'm asking you again, but
It's-
what purpose is it to cover it if your intent
I'm
is to
asking what's the difference.
desensitize the public to your
I'm asking what's the
stance?
difference? It's
The big difference,
it-
nobody sees it. It's again, nobody knows that you have a weapon. So my question is, if no one knows you have a weapon, are you meeting what your expectations and what you said to, from what I heard you say, Rachel, was to say that the public gets used to it. They see us walking or see you walking around with long arms. But when I'm hearing the scenario presented is I cover it with a blanket or I cover it with a towel, could I come in to the Capitol? I would say no, especially if the intent is to come through and then uncover it, because now you've just made it a clear choice that I'm going to expose the weapon.
I never said to uncover it afterwards. My question to you was, would it make a difference?
Yes, it would make a difference, because again, we're vetting, our intent is to check everyone coming into the Capitol. That if you're gonna bring a weapon in, it's under that accepted process of the CHL.
Yes, sir, you're correct, that was part of my purpose, that's part of our purpose as a group, and I think I understand Nestor's question, if he was just asking for clarification, at which point you would deny the request. For more clarification, so never under any circumstances would you all allow a long rifle to be open carried inside the Capitol past security, is that what you're telling me? Just to clarify. Like, there is no circumstance in which you would allow us to come and do that?
Again, you're asking for what is. I can't say that there's forever, that, right now, under our current security, we would not allow anyone to come in openly carrying a weapon. That is correct.
Okay, that's what I was asking. So right now, under current regulations, you would not, there's no circumstance in which you would allow a person to come in open carry a rifle. Like, not without a mount around the chamber, not without ammo, but there are no exceptions to that. Could we get that from y'all in writing? Like, just that statement that you will not allow that inside the Capitol? There is no circumstance?
I'd have to check with the director and see if we want to issue a directive like that, because, as Joe said, dealing with hypotheticals is kind of tough when we're talking about not a rule or that's been adopted, but our interpretation of a statute and a statute that relies on officer discretion. So it's kind of difficult to issue a written directive that says never or always. We're trying to give you an idea of where we're coming from an enforcement standpoint, and frankly trying to look for a way where no one gets arrested. Can your purpose be accomplished on the grounds rather than in the
Right.
building or that kind of thing is what I'd like to see.
and we're definitely not wanting to get arrested. It's not our intent. So you would be fine helping us accomplish our purpose by just allowing us to open carry on the grounds, on the steps.
That's definitely something to discuss, and
Yes, and I appreciate that. We, again, and we would ask the organization, because we have approached many individuals that have been on the grounds, I think all of the individuals, and we do get mixed information from those. We have approached some and asked them to do certain things to help, because again, when we get a call in, whether it be from the public, whether it be a legislative staff, whether it be a legislator themselves, you know, did y'all know there were individuals out on the grounds carrying rifles? I think for our officers, I believe that to be able to say those weapons are being carried in the safest manner possible would be good to say. I think here in the past, we haven't been able to say that, because we've been told that we may get told there's not a round in the chamber, but yet there's a magazine in it. We have been told that it's not, that it's being carried in a safe manner, but yet it may not be slung on the shoulder. And so there's certain things that I know the officers and I know the public would feel more comfortable with if they were to be able to, those that are protesting. And again, as we're talking, what's the best manner in order to conduct? It's no different from when you apply for a permit, say we would like to have a certain section of the south steps with speakers and everything else. There's certain things we do because we want everyone to be there to be protected and to be safe. We don't want those carrying to be in danger either, because we do know that there are CHL personnel carrying. There are other law enforcement officers who are in plain clothes in and around the area. They want to make sure that we don't have a confrontation that could lead to something even more destructive.
Thank you. It's really good information. Can you clarify, how would you like to see people carry? Like if they're going to carry a long rifle, how do you like to see that carried?
In their cars, not in the ground at all. I mean, at the end of the day, that's a difficult question because it really depends on the type of weapon.
Okay.
I mean, you've got a million different types of weapons, rifles. So, I mean, it's difficult to say that because we in law enforcement that may hopefully be more familiar with a specific type of weapon would know when that weapon is safe because there's a cable lock through the bolt action, through the magazine. There's not a magazine in it. It's locked to the rear. It's pointed down, muzzle. Someone in law enforcement would know that in order to get that weapon ready to be used, you'd have to take that cable lock first out of there. You'd have to pull the magazine out, put it into the feed, and then chamber around.
Right.
Which would take time and which would allow law enforcement who is going to be close by to react to any of those types of actions.
So something like a chamber flag would be helpful to y'all, like as a visual verification. Chamber flag, bolt back, chamber open, that type of thing is something that you appreciate?
I think it would help the individual carrying the weapon to ensure that they're not causing alarm.
Right. That is my personal
I can't
standard.
guarantee you that it's still not going to be alarming to the public or to an officer. And again, it's the totality of the circumstances. Again, I know you're asking for specifics, but it's hard for us to sit here on a scenario and say, I can tell you personally what would make me feel comfortable. First and foremost, don't bring it out in the public because I know there's going to be individuals that will be alarmed, regardless of the manner in which it's carried. I believe there are people that will be alarmed, especially in a place where we have tens and thousands of kids that come through every year for tours from all over Texas, all over the United States, into the Capitol. And they're not used to seeing, guns aren't allowed in school openly carrying in and around schools. And I think for specific, now all of a sudden we have them here. You know, I think that would cause the parents that are there as chaperones, the teachers that are there as chaperones, to be alarmed. So again, I'm just telling you, and they're not just visiting inside, they're visiting outside. There's all kinds of monuments and they have tours and they go through every single one of these monuments. So I'm trying to answer your question, but it's about what At the end of the day, that officer who's making contact is the one that has to recognize the totality of the circumstances, that the manner in which it's not being carried is calculated to alarm.
Yes, sir. And this past question was just of what sort of things might make you feel comfortable, not for a.
And it's not a pass to say that you're gonna meet and all of a sudden you get arrested and say, well, Joe said this, that's not the case. And you get outside our jurisdiction, that's not to prevent APD from arresting somebody, or a constable, or anybody else, a sheriff's office, Travis County. You know, we don't speak for all law enforcement. We can only speak for the way that we're going to allow and educate our officers in order to take the appropriate action.
If I may, I'm Rick DeLeon, the Senate Sergeant at Arms. You know, speaking of the school, and two, I appreciate y'all willing to do this.
Appreciate you having us.
Yes, we really do.
Absolutely. But like with teachers, and I say this because I just went to I guess like an open house, I guess you call it, with a little nephew. And being in the security business, I was more there to see what the school had and see what the teachers' training was. And I was really, really pleased that one of the elements that teachers are being trained in is one, something that may cause alarm, as opposed to something that is alarming to them. That make sense?
I think so. I think I know what you're on.
Okay, I mean, because if it's something causing alarm, if you see a fire, then there's cause for alarm, it's obvious. Whereas if you see smoke, you're not really sure, there could be something there, maybe it's big, maybe it's not, maybe it's harmful, maybe it isn't. So one is obvious, one isn't. And I hope I don't lose anybody here, including myself, in trying to tell you that if a teacher, because we have a lot of school groups here, a lot. I think it's a teacher's job to recognize something that is alarming to them. Not that you're trying to cause alarm to anybody. So my question to you with that right there is number one, can you appreciate a teacher's perspective in that regard? Not that I'm trying to draw a line here to see, you know, you can win or lose this, but just your opinion. You know, I don't know if you'll have children in school or not, but I think if you did, like I used to, that you have a teacher that could recognize something that would be alarming and thus report it to law enforcement. Because, you know, technically the public, that, you know, we want our law enforcement to be there for us, especially when we need them.
Yes, sir. I think I get what you're saying. I understand that, just the way our teachers are trained, the way our children are trained. My personal opinion on this, which is probably not shared by the general public, is I would be more alarmed to have my children in a gun-free zone, because I view that as basically a criminal free-to-kill zone, an armed zone. So I would rather not, I don't see my children as being as safe in that kind of a zone as in an armed zone with citizens.
I can appreciate a person's perspective on what might be alarming to them. What might be alarming to you might not be alarming to me, and vice versa. But the way the law reads is that you have to prove that the person calculated to cause alarm. And if we, as a group, have gone, obviously we're sitting here, have gone through the steps to show what our intent is, then how can anyone say that we have calculated to cause alarm? The law doesn't just say that it has to cause alarm. You have to calculate, you have to do something that's calculated to cause that alarm. And simply carrying the rifle, whether loaded or not, in my opinion, and again, this is just my opinion, does not calculate to cause alarm. I can appreciate a teacher's perspective as to what might cause her alarm. And she'd be in her right to do so, and especially since she has the responsibility of protecting our children. But her being alarmed about a situation does not automatically constitute me carrying a rifle a crime. By any means.
No, I didn't mean to imply that you're automatically committing a crime. Now, my whole premise here, remember, was just to determine something that was cause for alarm.
Right.
As opposed to something that may be alarming to someone.
Basically saying that people are, especially school teachers, would be conditioned to see an openly carried rifle as cause for alarm. Is that what you're getting at?
It may be enough cause for alarm to ask a question or to notify law enforcement.
And we don't have a problem with law enforcement making contact by any means. You know, a lot of law enforcement officers, surprisingly, I'm not saying specifically DPS or Travis County or APD or any agency in Florida where I come from originally, but a lot of officers are not trained to know and handle every situation. I've encountered officers that don't know the law in a specific area, but they know it very well in another. Some officers prefer to do DUIs, and they're very versed in DUI laws. But when it comes to anything else in traffic, they kind of have to ask a question. And so, again, the issue here is that we've come here, you know, for the clarification, I guess, in reference to carrying inside the building. It's the opinion of DPS that any carrying of a rifle, and please correct me if I'm wrong, any carrying of a long gun inside the Capitol would be considered calculated to cause alarm. And so, therefore, DPS is, I guess, denying the request to do so, based on their, I guess, their perspective, if you will, of 4201A8.
Sorry, what's the question?
Is DPS denying, is it a denial? Are you guys denying the entrance to the Capitol based on 4201A8, based on the fact that it's already calculated to cause the alarm? Even though we've already firmly expressed our intent.
I'm telling you what I think our interpretation of
Okay.
42.01 would be were someone to attempt to gain access to the Capitol building itself with a long arm. And just as you're correct that the standard of someone being alarmed, if they're alarmed at something that's not objectively alarming, doesn't necessarily mean you're committing a crime. You don't necessarily inoculate yourself by saying, well, we mean no alarm. If you're doing something that is objectively alarming and you're intending to do that act, under the statute, I think that would be disorderly conduct.
But simply carrying the rifle is not calculated. You can't construe that simply carrying a rifle is calculating to cause alarm. It might cause somebody alarm, but you can't construe that it's calculating, that you calculated to cause that alarm.
As we've said, in the context that we're talking about,
Okay.
we think that likely the circumstances would be calculated to cause alarm.
Okay.
So you're not actually giving an absolute denial right now, but basically if we showed up to the Capitol, we'd probably be denied. Is that kind of what's going on?
Yes.
Or we would be denied under protocol?
I think that's what would happen under our interpretation of 4102, the disorderly conduct statute. But the law enforcement officers on the scene are going to have to make a determination and a judgment and review the totality of the circumstances.
So it's up to them to decide what they want to say? Or it's up to you all?
I think you hear what we're saying about how we think the statute is going to be interpreted.
Yeah, it does sound like I'm hearing the pretty opposite to mine. That's what I'm hearing.
Anybody have questions for us, or?
Well, I have a couple,
Mhm.
and given what has just been discussed here, what do you think the intention is of Texas Open Carry then on Friday morning, coming to the Capitol? What will be kind of your agenda, kind of your course of action on the ground or in the building?
I think as she stated earlier, it is our intent mainly to be here as a gratitude. You know, like she said, for the laws that we do have and the rights that we do have. And most other groups, or I should say, in my opinion, mainly other groups that have been here and done so, have not done it with that perspective, or with that, you know, that focus in mind. We, again, want to just be grateful for the laws that we do have. We want to be able to educate the public and show them, hey, you know, this is a right that you have. You know, exercise it. Be grateful that you have it. And I mean, what better place to really share that than here at the Capitol?
So given that, will y'all be at the Capitol on Friday morning with a group? Because I know when we talked to Terry, he indicated about 20 of the leaders of Texas Open Carry.
Well, there's only
Five?
5 of us. There's 4 board members and then our legislative liaison.
Okay.
And there's other people, members that are part of the organization, that are going to be here. My understanding is there are going to be other organizations as well. I believe the organization that was here Saturday is also going to be here, Open Carry Texas, which is their totally separate entity than us,
Yes.
or from us.
Do y'all get along?
We get along. We don't.
I pretty much get along with everybody the best I can.
we don't see eye to eye on many of their avenues of approach. We have more of our approach is based on more legal and legislative versus action. This is actually as for TOC, this is our first event. Open Carry Texas have had numerous events around the state. This is actually our very first event that we decided to, you know, set up.
So for us, basically what's happening this weekend is we're having an administrative meeting, you know, a separate location to talk about administrative things with the group. People are, several different group members are coming from different parts of the state. We thought it would be wonderful to go to the Capitol. Some of them, I think, have never been to the Capitol or never visited it. And so we one of our ideas was, let's see if, just as a leadership team, we can go inside the Capitol. So we'll discuss it. If we are, since we are being denied going inside the Capitol, we may be outside the Capitol. As far as specifics, my personal protocol of carrying a rifle, if I'm going to be carrying a rifle, pretty much I want it to have mag out, bolt back, chamber flag in, safety on, nobody touching the rifle. That to me is a safe rifle. I want it to point in a safe direction in which if it is accidentally discharged, it's not going to cause damage to person or property. That's my protocol for how I handle a rifle. So if I have a rifle slung on my back when I walk down the grounds on Friday, if we decide to do that, that's I believe how I will have it. You know, as my own personal conviction.
No, we don't. As a group, we don't set a standard for how people carry. We advise as to what we would like them to do, but each and every person is their own individual self, and so they choose whether or not they want to have a mag, whether or not they want to have one chambered in, whether they don't want to have anything other than just a rifle. I've known people to carry the mags and no ammo in it. You know, but we do focus on what is the safest manner. And we, you know, my preference, some people like to carry the muzzle facing up. To me, it's a bad idea. I prefer it to face down. but I don't want the board to get an idea that, okay, well, they're gonna carry in a specific way. We can advise as to how we would like them to carry.
Yeah, and my primary interest right now is knowing kind of how many will be here, where y'all will be, if this is gonna be an education effort, will y'all distribute any information? We have no problem with you distributing information or gathering anywhere on the grounds, that's not an issue at all. But in y'all's stated interest, which is our interest, and we appreciate this, is we know what's going to happen because we do have tour groups scheduled on Friday, and we do have lots of other visitors who come to the building every single day, and they approach from all different directions. And I want my staff to know, our tour guides, our facilities people, everybody, and we want to be able to disseminate information in the building. This is what you may see. If you either walk on the grounds or you look out the windows, you may see a group of about this size, some of them carrying long rifles.
Right.
Just again, so everyone knows what to expect on Friday morning.
Okay.
I don't know specifically how many people are coming. Some people have decided not to come or say they're not coming. Their plans might change. I don't know. I know as far as TOC goes, you might see 20 to 25 people from our group. But again, they've already talked about having other groups there as well. What their numbers will be, you know.
As far as our group goes, because our plans are changing, we're not gonna get to go inside the Capitol, right? So we're gonna probably go and talk about it as a group, just, you know, the admin, the five of us through an admin, and we can decide, okay, are we gonna go ahead and show up at the Capitol, or do we wanna just forego that? And then we can give y'all a call or email and let you know.
That'd be great.
That'd be just a
Yes.
courtesy call, a couple days in advance, is that okay?
Yep.
All right, so we'll make sure we're on the same page as a group, and let you know, and that's again for us, you know, we can't speak for other groups, but we can do that.
You say other groups, and so you mentioned Open Texas Carry. How many other
Open Carry Texas.
Open Carry Texas. What are some of how many other groups are there that y'all are aware of?
There are a lot of groups springing up. And a lot of them have members, you know, of all the different groups. So I know there's Gun Rights Across America, and they have state chapters.
And then there's Come and Take It America, or
I'm not sure of any others. I know there are. I'm just not sure the names. I know the Gun Rights Across America in Texas. I believe they've had a rally here before, like maybe back in February. I believe they were involved with that. If you remember that. I don't think that was an open carry event then.
I think Come and Take It America as well. Come and Take
Perhaps.
It Texas, one of the two.
And there are a lot of groups, and they're interconnected in different
Right, and the
ways.
thing is that a lot of the members from, or some of the members from this group are also members of this other group, and vice versa. So.
Okay. Well, again, just even a couple of days before, so Wednesday, that gives us plenty of time, if you all are going to be here, that we can tell our folks, and obviously DPS of what to expect.
What's the best way to notify you?
If you can email me, and Mr.
Yeah.
Well, my email is on my card.
Okay, I'm sorry, you are,
Snead.
you're
John
Mr.
Snead,
Snead.
yes.
Alright. Is there anything else we can do that would
I have a
help you out?
question.
Yes, sir.
What groups would you be concerned with that you think, in your opinion, we should be concerned with?
I don't personally think that there's a
Not that we're trying to
concern.
vilify
No.
anybody.
I honestly, I personally don't think that there's a concern on my end with any group,
If you're comfortable meeting with any one of these people.
any one of those people. I don't think that they're a danger to anybody. We just have different views on how to go about things. Like I said, our group is more on the legislative and legal side. That's what our group focuses on. From the very beginning, that has been our focus. That's why we haven't done any other events. This is our first one. Because of that, we've been focused on the legal and legislative side. I think the other groups are more focused on, hey, let's get out there and educate the public.
Or have a rally.
Or have a
or
rally.
Get together. So.
Right, and so, you know, and it's more, you know, to educate the public, but again, that's, I just don't agree with and wholeheartedly don't agree with going out and doing it. Not because I'm against it, I just don't have the time for it. So, but as far as a security concern, I don't have a security concern with any other group.
Well, if you're just getting started, if I may, you know, we just finished up these legislative session and specials, and the big to-do with them was an abortion bill. And we actually had some groups that came to them, I know came to my office, said, this is who we are, here's our members. There was a small section of ladies that were dressed up in like the 1950s outfits. And what had happened was some folks had kind of infiltrated them, but they weren't part of them.
Mm-hmm.
But they were there to get arrested. So their group started taking a bunch of heat in the social media because that wasn't what they were supposed to do.
Well, we pretty much know everybody from our group, and the other groups that we talk with.
I'm not trying to recruit you.
No.
It's just something to be aware of.
Right.
That I know for myself as a Senate Sergeant at Arms, I was appreciative of it because, you know, it's like having two giraffes there. You know, one of them's bad, one of them isn't, but they look the same.
Right.
But they were helpful. They helped themselves and they helped us and helping to identify the ones that were going to be troublesome because they were there. They were coming.
Right.
And I know you can't speak for everybody, but if you're just getting started, know that was helpful to the Senate side.
So just giving you a list of, hey, these are
Well, I
members
mean, you
who
don't
may
have
show up.
to
Is that what it is?
Become an informant, I don't want you to think
Okay.
that,
Okay.
but, you know, eventually, as y'all move forward, somebody is gonna get excited more than you wanna measure.
Right.
And if that happens, and it's not part of your role, and it's not your goal,
Well,
it's helpful to communicate that.
that's why we've decided to focus more on the legal and legislative side versus the let's go out and, you know, and do this in public. That's why we, as a group, have decided to do so and stay in that, you know, stay within that focus area.
Because, again, I'm here on the Senate side, from the Senate side. But there did come a point in time where everybody, due to the level of concern and alarm, that if there was trouble in that corner, you know, I was given the authority to tell the uniform division, I want this section out of here. And that's what started it. That's what brought the good guys out. Because I said, y'all are, it's like, nope, you had, you know, more than ample time to communicate this to me beforehand. I have a greater concern now than your cause, sorry. You know, I'll see you at work tomorrow. You don't need to leave. So that's when their leadership came forward and just said, okay, look, you know, we want to talk to you. We weren't the ones doing it. They were sitting with us, yes. And I said, well, then y'all need to police yourselves up. You know, you're gonna have to do that much because, you know, once the rabbit's out of the hat, it's out. If that makes sense to you, just know that. Since we're trying to work together.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's helpful. Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody have anything else? Okay, I appreciate y'all being here. Appreciate DPS and our friends from the Capitol. So, let's just keep communicating. That's very, very helpful and the key to all this.
We have a letter of denial, pretty much typed up, that we would like the individuals on there to just sign. Both parties get a copy. It's just for our records, showing that we agree not to try or attempt to go into the Capitol with a long gun. If I can go ahead and pull that out.
I think you can, Mr., but I think General Counsel's already advised, we're not in
No,
a
that's
position,
fine.
we'd have to take that letter to the director, and even then, not sure if he'd want something else, may not be the form that you provide,
Mm-hmm.
but a statement from the agency